Hey there, y'all. It's Miss Campbell, and I'm going to go through some of the problems on our review here just to make sure that we are all ready for our test tomorrow. So the first one I'm going to go through is going to be number 3. And I'm going through that one because they don't give us the graph. So like on number 1 and number 2, they give us the graph and we can find all of our points of interest very easily. So I'm going to do number 3. I'm going to graph it. I'm going to show you how to do that on the calculator so you can see, and then we're going to be able to get all of our points that we need. So it's x squared minus 4x minus 4. So I'm going to go to my calculator. I'm going to press home. So press home, and then I'm going to press 1 for a new document. And I'm going to say I don't want to save. And now I need to graph it. So I'm going to press 2 for graphs, and I'm going to type it in. So we're going to do x, and then I'm going to put the x squared button, which is right next to number 4. X squared minus 4x minus 4, and press enter. Now, if you like, you can zoom out a little bit. So that would be menu 4. Okay, zoom out a little bit right here. And now you can see everything. You can see the vertex and all that. But now to actually get our points, we're going to go menu 5 for trace, and then we want graph trace, which is 1. And now you can move left and right here, and it will tell you the different points that we need. So if we go a little bit to the left, you see the first point they show us is the minimum. So on our graph here, we have a minimum. And if you look, it tells us our minimum is at 2, -8. So 2, -8, that's our minimum. Now also your vertex is that same spot. Remember, your vertex is your minimum, or your vertex is your maximum. So where is our vertex on this one? 2, -8. Okay, now our domain. Okay, did we tell our graph like you have to stop between any 2 x values? No. Am I giving a situation that would make my graph stop? No, it's just a plain graph. So whenever you have a plain graph, just a straight quadratic, your domain's going to be all real numbers. Okay, the next thing is the range. So go look at our graph here. Now your range, it's all the y values that it's covering. So if we look here, our lowest point, our minimum, my lowest y value is -8. All of my other y's are above it. So my range is going to be y. I'm going to put -8. You always get your range by looking at your vertex. So for the range, we look at the y part of our vertex, so -8. And now you ask yourself, look at my graph. Are the 2 arms of it reaching to the sky, or are they reaching to the ground? If they're reaching to the sky, that's going to be greater than or equal to, because it's going up. If it's reaching to the ground, that would be less than or equal to. So it's reaching to the sky. So I'm going to have y is greater than or equal to -8. Your next thing here, AOS, that is the axis of symmetry. To find that, you look at your vertex again, but you look at the x coordinate. So we're going to say x equals, and what is the x coordinate of our vertex? 2. So that would be our axis of symmetry. The next thing we look at is solutions. Okay, remember your solutions, those are your zeros or your x-intercepts. So we need to go on our graph, and we need to use our trace, and we need to find where our graph is crossing the x-axis. Those are going to be zeros, and the calculator is going to label them as zeros for us. So there's the first one. So we only look at the x coordinate for it. So it's -0.828. So that's 1 0. Okay, and then we go and look at the other one. So go the other way. And our other 0, it says 4.83. So 4.83. Okay, so that's how we would do that there. And then we can also graph. So always start with your vertex. So in our case, it's 2, -8. Okay, another good point you can get here. We wouldn't use our zeros in this case because they're all decimals. But what you can do is go along your graph, use that trace, and find another point where you get a whole number. See if you get any here. Oh, look at that, 3, -7. That would be a good point to put on here. So 3, -7. And then you can also remember that your axis of symmetry, you can mirror your points across it. So this point 3, -7, it's only 1 unit away from my axis of symmetry. So I'm going to go to my axis of symmetry and go 1 unit the other way, so to the left, and put the matching point there. Another good point we can get is that y-intercept. So what is my y-intercept? 0, -4. So I would plot that 0, -4. And then again, I can mirror it over. So this one is 2 units away. So I'm going to go 2 units the other way and put that point. And then now you have at least 3 points. So you can draw your line going through. Okay, so that helps us with number 3 and number 4. And the next one I'm going to look at is number 5. All right, on number 5, I'm going to go through and discuss the second graph on it here mostly, because you see they're asking us to make a prediction. Before we get to that though, I'm going to look at the top one. They ask us for our x-intercept. So yeah, your x-intercept is where your line crosses the x-axis. So our x-intercept is right here at 5, 0, because it's always x comma y. So we're here at 5 on the x. We didn't go anywhere up or down, so our y is 0. Now our y-intercept is along the y-axis. So where does our line cross the y-axis? Right here at -3. So our y-intercept would be 0, comma, -3. Because our x is 0 because we're on the y-axis. But where on the y-axis are we? -3. So now from here, you could take these 2 points and put them into your table, the list and spreadsheets, and find your slope from there. And that's what we're going to do on this next one. So in this one here, again, to get your rate of change or your slope, you need 2 points from your graph. They were nice and they give us 3. So we just have to use 2 of them. It doesn't matter which 2 you use. You just have to use 2. So the first one here is 4 and 160. And then another one could be 6 and 240. All right, so how do we get our rate of change? Go to your calculator, press home, press 1 for a new document, do not save. We're going to press 4 for lists and spreadsheets. We're going to go up to the top, we're going to label it X, and then go down and go up to the other column and label that Y. Okay, and now we're going to type it in. Our first point was 4, 160. So 4, 160. And then our other point was 6, 240. So 6, 240. And then get to a blank spot. And now you press menu 4, 1, 3 for a linear regression. And then we're going to put X down, Y down, enter. And now they want us to find the rate of change. So that is our slope. So what is our rate of change? 40. Okay, now the key thing here is prediction. So they want us to make a prediction at 8 hours and at 10 hours. When you see the words prediction or estimate, I want you to use the table and actually get the equation. So we go to our table here. We see our slope is 40 and our y-intercept is 0. So our equation for this would be 40x plus 0. So 40x plus 0, that's our equation. Now again, I know it's a little bit weird to put the plus 0 on here, but for other equations, it's not going to be 0 on the end. So now prediction, basically what that means is you're going to take your equation and you're going to plug in the number 8 for x. So we're going to write our equation, so 40, but then instead of x, I'm going to put parentheses, I'm going to put 8, which is what I'm having to substitute in, then plus 0. And then now you're going to use the calculator to figure that out. So we can press the little switch button here to go to our scratch pad. I had to press it twice because the first time it took me to the graph. So now I'm just going to type in 40 And then parentheses, I'm going to put 8, close the parentheses, plus 0, press enter. And that tells me it's going to be 320. So after 8 hours, we can predict that they will have gone 320 miles. And then now do the same thing for 10 hours. So we would do 40 times 10 plus 0. And 40 times 10 plus 0 is 400. So after 10 hours, we could estimate that they would go 400 miles. So now what you need to do with the first graph here is go in the table, put in your 2 points, and get the slope. Next question I'll go over with you is number 7. Number 7 says, what is the solution set for the equation? Solution. And you see how we have the x squared? That's a quadratic. So what are your solutions? The zeros, the x-intercepts. And so how have we found those? Well, we have graphed our equation and found where it crosses the x-axis. So let's graph it. So go home. All right. We can press the little switch button here and it's going to take us to the graph. I have some old stuff on here, so I'm going to press Control-T to get rid of the table. And now I need to edit the equation that's already there. So I'm going to press Tab and I'm going to press the up arrow because right now it says F2, but I don't want to add another one. So I'm going to press the up arrow to get F1. I'm just going to delete what's there. And I'm going to type in what I want to graph now. So what do I want to graph is 3x squared plus 5x minus 2. Yes. So press enter. And then now what we need to do, again, it says we need to find the solution set. So we need the zeros. So we're going to go menu 5, 1. We're going to trace. I'm just going to go a little bit past it and go back here. So what's my 0? One of my zeros is at -2. We only want the x coordinates on the 0, so -2. Okay, and then let's go to the other one. And the other one is at 0.333 repeating. So we will just put 0.3 with a line over the 3 to show it's repeating. Okay, now, so that's our solution set. Those are your 2 zeros. So now it says number 8 here. What is the negative solution of the equation above? We'll look at your 2 solutions. Which of them is negative? Well, -2. So that would be your negative solution. Next one I'll go over with you is number 9. They say, what is the slope? Okay, in order to find the slope, we need to take this equation here. We can see it's linear because we just have x, not x squared. And we need to solve this for y. Okay, we're going to solve it for y because we're going to put it in slope-intercept form so we can read off the slope. So step 1, move your x term to the other side. You do this by adding or subtracting. Right now it's positive, so I'm going to subtract. So we take away 2x on both sides. 2x minus 2x, those cancel. I have -3y equals, and I'm going to rearrange a little bit here. I'm going to put my x term first. I put -2x, so -2x. And then I already had a -6, so -6. So step 1 is to move the x over to the other side. Step 2, we have to get rid of the number in front of the y. So we are going to divide by -3 because that's what's in front of the y. Divide by -3. Divide by -3. So now we have y equals, okay, and now what I want you to do is I want you to type in these fractions in the calculator to make sure that you're going to reduce them properly. So my first one is -2 over -3. So I'm going to go to my scratch pad. So I'm going to do -2 divided by -3 and press enter. And I come out with +2 over 3. So I get 2 over 3, and that had the x next to it, so 2/3 x. And then now I need to go and do the other one. It's -6 divided by -3, press enter, and I get +2. So since it's +2, I'm going to put +2 on the end. Now the question asks, what is the slope? So y'all, your slope is a number directly in front of the x, directly to the left of your x. So what is the slope? 2/3. Okay, next question is going to be number 12. Okay, and that's going to be very similar to number 11. So again, they're asking you to estimate or to expect, right? So number 12 there, we've got field goals attempted versus field goals made. So they give us the X and the Y here. Make sure you label. The X is on the X axis, the Y is on the Y axis of your graph. And we got to type this in because again, when I said if they ask you for the prediction or to estimate or how many you're going to expect, you got to get that equation. Okay, so now what we need to do is we need to go and take our data in this table and put it in the table on our calculator. So we're going to go home, press 1 for a new document. We do not want to save. We're going to do lists and spreadsheets and go up here. We're going to label X and Y. You always got to go all the way to the top. Label those first. And then start entering our information. So attempts, that was our X. So we have 50. And then our next one was 70. And then we had another 70. And then we had a 75 and a 90 and 110 and then 170. And then now I'm going to go put in the ones made. So they made 15. They made 25. They made 45, 35, 35, 50, and 90. Okay, now make sure you go and double check your table before we go any further. Okay, so 50, 15, 70, 25, 70, 45, 75, 35, 90, 35, 110, 50, and 170, 90. Okay, and then get to a blank spot and then now go menu 4, 1, 3. X down, Y down, enter. And let's go check. Now we kind of have to press the up arrow so we can see our M, okay? But we have our M and our B, and that's what we need to write our equation. So the M and the B, we need to round these off. I'm going to have y'all keep them to 2 decimal places. So you have to look at the third one to tell you if you're going to round up or stay there. So on our slope, we have 0.579. That 9 is going to make the 7, just the 7, bump up. So our slope is going to be 0.58. Okay, 0.58. And then our y-intercept B, here we have a 0 as the third one. So that's not going to affect the 7. So it's negative 10.47. So our equation, and I want you to write your equation on your paper, would be y equals 0.58x minus 10.47. So we write that there, and then now they say how many field goals would we expect them to make if they attempted 140. So your attempts is your x. So we're going to plug in 58 times 140, or sorry, 0.58 times 140 minus 10.47. So go to your calculator, press the little scratch pad button there, and just plug in. So 0.58 times 140 minus 10.47, and press enter. And so it comes out with 70.73. So 70.7. Now look at your answer choices. Which one or ones are closest? Either 63 or 82. You have to choose the one that is closest to 70. Okay. And we can even plot these. So if I plot 63 on here, so 140, 63 is going to be about right here. And 140, 82 is going to be up here. So your question is, you want to see which of the 2 dots falls best in line with your data. And that would be the 63. Also, because 63 is closer to 70 than 82 is. 63 is only 7 away, whereas 82 is like 12. So on this one, our answer would be B. Okay, the next question that I would go over with you is number 14. Okay, and we're going to eliminate 15 because there was an error on that one. So 14, it says, which function best models the data? So all of your answer choices are equations. So when we have equations as our answer choices, what I want you to do is graph your answer choice. Okay, and then you're going to press Control T and you're going to match it to your table. So let's graph our first one here, 2x squared plus 2. So I'm going to switch over to the graph. I'm going to press escape because I need to get out of the trace there. And I'm going to press tab and press the up arrow because I don't want this old one there. So I need to type in my first answer choice, and it was 2x squared plus 2. Yeah, 2x squared plus 2. And press enter. And now we're going to do Control T. And we're going to get our table. And now we're going to match it and see. So I always go up here. So the first thing, when we typed in the 2x squared plus 2, when x is -2, it's saying that it comes out to 10. But if you look at your table, they want, when it's -2, they want it to be 16. So it cannot be A. All right, let's go try B. So I'm going to do Control T, get out of my table, press tab, press the up arrow. And I'm going to edit this one a little bit. I'm going to change the 2 on the end to a 5. And then in front, I need to make it negative. And again, Control T to get your table back. Okay, and go check. -2, -3. Does not match our table, so it's not B. Okay, so go look at C. X squared minus 5x plus 2. So Control T, get rid of the table. Tab, press the up arrow. Okay. Minus 5x. So x squared minus 5x plus 2. Press enter. Okay, Control T. Let's see. Oh, -216. That works. -1,8. Is that what's on my table? Yeah. Okay, let's see. 0,2. Is that on our calculator? 0,2. Yes. Okay, 1 -2. Does that match? Yes. 2 -4. Does that match? Yes. So the whole table matches. So it is C. Okay, our last question that we're going to do together is number 16. Okay, so on number 16 there, you'll have to forgive. The question talks about triangles and asks about shoes and age and all that. So we're just going to go with it here. Your height. So this column, we're going to call it X, and the other column, we're going to call it Y. Okay. The point of the question here is, what does the correlation coefficient for the data indicate about the strength of the linear association? So correlation coefficient. So what you do is when you type in all this data into the calculator, it gives you, and we do the menu 413, the linear regression. It gives you the M, the B, R squared, and R. Your correlation coefficient that we're looking at is just R. Okay, so R. And if your R is greater than 0.5, okay, so just the R, like don't worry about the sign whether it's positive or negative. If your R is greater than 0.5, it's going to be a strong correlation. If your R is less than 0.5, it would be a weak correlation. And then if it's positive or negative, then you would look at the sign on it. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to type in this data into our table in the calculator. So go home, press 1, new document. 4 for list and spreadsheets. Go up here, title X and Y. And then let's start typing in. So 41, 70, 21, 34, 10, and 92. And then I'm going to go up here and type in my Y's. So 21, 25, 32, 12, 16, and 45. All right, and then get to a new spot. And then again, always double check your table. Okay, and go menu 413. X down, Y down, enter. And now, like I said, we're looking for correlation coefficient. So we're going to look at our R value. Okay, on the R value, you just need the first two numbers. So the R is 0.67. So 0.67. So first, ask yourself, is it positive or is it negative? Well, this is positive. So I can get rid of the ones that say negative correlation. Next thing, is it weak or is it strong? Well, R, is it greater than 0.5 or less than 0.5? 0.67 is greater, so it would be a strong positive correlation. All right, y'all. So that's pretty much the whole review. The only tip I would give you here for number 13, just kind of estimate a little bit about where it's at. Remember, these are endpoints, because think about, we're throwing a ball. So would it make sense for the ball to go, underneath the ground? Because this is the height, right? So the height is 0. That means it's on the ground. So it's not going to go underneath. So just kind of, it's going to affect your domain. And it's also going to affect your range. And like I said, just try to get as close to the numbers as possible. Just be in the neighborhood and you're good. If you have any questions, be sure to ask your teacher, and good luck on your test.